Miami International Airport's Concourse D buzzed with the usual rhythm of travel. Rolling luggage, quick steps, murmured phone calls. At Gate 17, anticipation brewed for Flight 407 to London, Atlantic Skies Airline's flagship business class route. Inside the opulent first-class cabin, champagne flowed and coats were hung with white-gloved precision. In Seat 2A sat Brenda Sterling, an emblem of wealth and old Miami elitism. Her crisp white suit glowed under the cabin lights, and next to her, sprawled across Seat 2B, was her turquoise Prada tote. She didn't glance twice at the item occupying a full seat. It belonged there, as far as she was concerned. From the jet bridge entered a tall, poised black man in a tailored Brioni suit, a single leather briefcase in hand. Elijah Vance, CEO of Apex Global Holdings, a man who didn't chase cameras, but whose name made boardrooms sit straighter. Few knew Apex owned the very airline they were flying. Elijah stopped at row 2. His boarding pass read, Seat 2B. Brenda looked up, lowering her sunglasses slightly. Her polite smile thinned when her gaze landed on him. "I believe that's my seat," Elijah said calmly, nodding toward 2B, but Brenda didn't flinch. Her hand rested protectively on the tote. "This seat's taken," she said coolly. "Perhaps check with the attendant." Elijah raised his pass slightly. Elijah Vance. 2B. A soft chuckle escaped Brenda. "I'm sure they can accommodate you elsewhere. Economy Plus, maybe." Around them, a few passengers looked up. Tension settled like mist. A flight attendant, Chloe, approached. "Is there a problem?" "Yes," Brenda snapped before Elijah could respond. "This man is demanding a seat already in use. I feel unsafe." That word landed like a bomb. Chloe faltered, caught between policy and prejudice. Elijah handed her the pass. Her eyes widened as she read it. "Thank you, Mr. Vance," she said, voice lowered with recognition. But Brenda leaned back, voice rising. "He's harassing me. I want him off this flight." Phones were up now, recording. A businessman in 1C shook his head, filming it all. "I am simply standing beside my assigned seat," Elijah said, voice level, eyes fixed. "Sir," Chloe said, clearly uncomfortable, "could you step into the jet bridge for a moment while we resolve this?" He paused. The request was polished, but the meaning was familiar. "Please remove yourself so we can placate her." Elijah nodded, stepped back into the jet bridge. Behind him, Brenda exhaled triumphantly. Once alone, Elijah took out his phone and made a call. "This is Vance," he said. "Initiate protocol Blackbird." Miles away, in Apex Global's operations center, Dr. Anya Sharma received the alert. "Engaging now," her engineer confirmed. Back in the cabin, Chloe informed Brenda that Mr. Vance's seat assignment was valid. Brenda scoffed, muttering something about standards. The air grew thick with unspoken tension. Elijah stood by the window in the jet bridge, watching planes move across the tarmac. His expression didn't shift. He knew this scenario too well. The weaponization of fragility, the quiet racism hidden behind pearls and designer sunglasses. Inside the Apex systems, Blackbird protocol moved swiftly. Passenger logs were pulled, personnel flagged, internal communications scanned. A private alert pinged the airline CEO, who paled upon seeing the initiating ID, Elijah Vance. Within minutes, the jet bridge door opened again. 2 uniformed Atlantic Skies executives stepped inside, eyes wide. "Mr. Vance, we deeply apologize." Elijah raised a hand, silencing them. "Do not address me with apologies meant to conceal systemic failures. Observe. Document. Respond accordingly." "Yes, sir." Inside the cabin, whispers turned to speculation. Brenda sat smugly, sunglasses back on, bag unmoved. She didn't notice the cameras still rolling. Elijah re-entered the plane. He didn't speak to Brenda. He simply looked at Chloe. "Has the seat been cleared?" Chloe nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. We're terribly sorry." He sat in 2B, adjusting his cufflinks with precision. Brenda blinked, suddenly unsure that he turned slightly. "You'll want to remember this moment." She frowned. "Excuse me?" But Elijah didn't answer. Back in Apex HQ, Anya activated the final phase. Internal reviews, employee behavior logs, and training compliance records were now under live audit. A single email from Elijah would freeze Atlantic Sky's operations entirely. And then, just as the doors prepared to close, another message arrived on Anya's console. Hold clearance for Flight 407. She stared. Elijah hadn't grounded the flight. Not yet. On board, Elijah leaned back. He didn't need to raise his voice or demand respect. His power wasn't in noise. It was in decisions that reshaped companies' careers and reputations. Beside him, Brenda shifted uncomfortably. Her smirk was gone. And then, the captain's voice rang over the speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been asked to delay pushback for a brief operational review. Phones buzzed. Passengers murmured. Brenda sat up, alarm blooming in her eyes. Elijah simply closed his eyes, expression unreadable. Outside, engines quieted. The game was far from over. Full spectrum observation mode. Anya commanded. Monitor everything. No disruptions yet. Her fingers flew across the secure keyboard. Eyes locked on Flight 407's real-time profile. Under Elijah Vance, a flag protocol flashed. Blackbird. This was no routine passenger dispute. It was a confrontation with systemic prejudice. Inside the aircraft, David, the purser, approached Brenda. Ma'am, we're verifying the seating arrangement. Please be patient. Brenda smiled thinly, then raised her voice for the nearby passengers. Of course. It's just so unfortunate these issues arise. Makes one question who really belongs in first class. The subtle racism wasn't missed. Whispers rippled through the cabin. In the jet bridge, Elijah read a message from Anya. Observation complete. Phase 2 ready. A quiet smile played on his lips. The reckoning had begun. Minutes later, Chloe approached. Mr. Vance, we're ready to resume boarding. Elijah nodded and re-entered the cabin. All eyes followed him. Brenda sat stiffly as he reached his assigned seat. 2B, still occupied by her designer bag. Ma'am, Elijah said calmly, I'll take my seat now. Brenda removed her sunglasses, eyes cold and condescending. I told you, this seat is taken. You've caused enough trouble already. Her hand protectively tapped her bag. David stepped in. Mr. Vance has a valid pass for this seat. There's nothing to resolve. Brenda snapped. He's making a scene, and I feel unsafe. Phones began recording. Elijah remained composed. I've done nothing but try to take my seat. The captain appeared, alerted by the escalating tension. A gate agent whispered urgently to him. Meanwhile, a passenger stood from the back. For the record, he said, holding up his phone, Mr. Vance has been professional the entire time. The mood shifted. Murmurs of agreement followed. The captain, sensing the change, exhaled. Mr. Vance, he said, can I ask you to temporarily step off while we sort this? Elijah looked into his eyes, noted the surrender behind the request, and nodded. Brenda smirked as Elijah retrieved his briefcase. Phones caught her smug expression. In the jet bridge. Elijah made the call. Phase 2. Full execution. Confirm with Anya. Confirmed, came a reply to T Apex Global's HQ. Anya initiated the sequence. Internal surveillance swept for discriminatory flags. Flight operations across JFK, Heathrow, and Singapore faltered. Engineers noticed the global lag. This isn't local, one said alarmed. Back on Flight 407, Brenda fumed. Why are we still waiting? She barked at Chloe. Elijah's phone buzzed. Latency confirmed. Boarding halted at 8 hubs. Media monitoring active. The captain addressed the cabin again. We're experiencing unforeseen delays. Groans erupted. A nearby passenger muttered. Maybe if someone hadn't started all this. Brenda's control cracked. You think I'm to blame? Then came the final blow. Due to an operational directive from corporate, the captain announced, all crew must temporarily disembark. Gasps. Confusion. What? Brenda shrieked. They've abandoned us. Crew filed out. Passengers streamed it live. Hashtag Flight 407 grounded. Hashtag CO Revenge. Hashtag First Class Karen. Security entered. Ma'am, you need to disembark, David said. This is retaliation. I'll sue. Brenda screamed. As she was led out, her eyes locked with Elijah's. Realization struck. He had orchestrated all of it. Elijah simply inclined his head. Not revenge, just accountability. At Apex's boardroom, chaos reigned. Atlantic Sky's CEO Robert Sterling stood pale. "The vote is clear," said Victor Hayes, board chairman. "Your resignation is accepted." Elijah Vance authorized Blackbird. The board supports him. News flashed globally. Atlantic Sky's CEO resigns amid discrimination scandal. At the gate, VP David Chun approached Elijah. "Sterling's resignation is official. Crew suspended. Brenda Sterling is permanently banned across Apex Airlines." "No public statement," Elijah said. "Understood." His phone buzzed. Board vote unanimous. Transfer of authority complete. Elijah exhaled. Calm. Resolved. He walked away from the grounded flight. No fanfare, no anger. Just truth and power. Flight 407 sat idle, now a symbol of silent protest turned thunderous action. The message was clear. The age of quiet tolerance for discrimination was over.